Hello, beautiful people. It is me. I am back. I haven't. I'm sure you guys have been wondering where I've been at. I'm really trying to make these consistent, and I'm struggling a little bit because as a disability advocate, I'm finding myself real busy because, like we saw in the last video, the ableism is real. Um, That's not what this video was about. This video is about um it's kind of tied into the last video because ableism is such a large concept that I wanted to go into a rather big example of that honestly would have made the last video so ridiculously long that there would have been no way. So one of the issues that we have in our community, the disability community, if you're new, is ableism in job education requirements. I mean, really job requirements altogether, but if I have time, I'll touch in that in this video. Specifically, what I mean is with educational requirements, you'll find, for instance, somebody will have put up a job posting for a job in a center for independent living or independent living center if you live on the other side of the country. For instance, say you want to be a service coordinator. Now, I understand in many states, the state agencies put a requirement on all service coordinators to have such and such amount of education that has nothing to do with the SIL. It's a state requirement that the SILs have to comply with. I get that. What frustrates me is, so a service coordinator ultimately is personally, individually interacting with and advocating for the rights of the disabled person, showing them how to live independently in the community, helping them with skills. It's very closely working together with community habilitation. Your service cord might be the one taking you to doctor's appointments if you don't have the transportation. They might be the ones helping you with putting together the forms to sign up for paratransit, which is the accessible transportation. A variety of things that you might need. They also have to do check-ins to make sure that you are healthy and getting what you need to be able to stay in the community. Great. So when I think 30 years ago at this point, nearly 30 years ago when we started this independent living movement, the people who were the service coordinators, the people who were the support specialists, the people that were helping the other disabled people in the community were disabled people. And when this movement first started, the people with intellectual and related disabilities were more highly regarded. And when the state got involved and started to put requirements on grants and getting funding and stuff like that for independent living centers to be able to fund the programs like service coordination and other programs, this came along with educational requirements. And I get that part. What I don't understand, no, I'm jumping ahead. I get that part. However, what it ultimately does is by putting educational requirements and putting them so high, like saying that you have to be a master's to be a service coordinator is saying that you don't want a specific kind of disabled person to work in that role. You don't want a specific kind of disabled person to be able to get a high level position. That's what it's saying. And that's where the ableism comes in, because you're saying that if someone who, for any number of reasons, it could be poverty, it could be struggles with cognitive development, cognitive learning, or intellectual disabilities, learning disabilities interfering. It could be any number of reasons that that person was not able to complete enough college to be able to call themselves a master. And it doesn't even have to go that far. It could be that life happened and maybe they had a sick family member they had to take care of. Maybe they were sick themselves, or maybe they had an invisible disability and could not physically get to enough classes to gain the teacher's approval to move on from that class and then get their degree. Now, it doesn't even have to be all that. It could just be something as simple as in my case, where I have real serious anxiety and I could not for 2 years drag myself out of my room, out of my apartment, and go to class. So I failed over and over and over again. And it was not a laziness thing. It was not a matter of not wanting to get in the car and drive over there. It was I have severe anxiety and I developed agoraphobia. I mean, pretty mild agoraphobia, but it was still like I was terrified to go on my own. I was terrified what would happen if I went to class on my own. And the reason I say that this isn't a laziness thing, it's not an excuse because I tested this. I struggled with going to class. That there was where there was a distance to get there, where I would have to take the car. But I also struggled when the campus was right across from my apartment complex, and I could not bring myself. I did not have the executive functioning to get out of my apartment and go over there, even though I knew that I had to go to class. I could not make myself do it. And there's a lot of different things at play here. I have pretty bad anxiety, pretty bad depression, and agoraphobia. All of this assisted in me being complete failure and in my college career. And I understand that a college educated cripple is prettier. I understand that it's more impressive when a cripple has gone to college and they've succeeded. And I know that it makes for a better success story. But this is not how this should be. Anyone, and I do mean anyone, who has the drive and the passion and the wherewithal to be able to or to want to help their disabled siblings in this movement and gain positions within these organizations so that they can assist their siblings in this movement, I feel like they should be given a fair shot, regardless of whether or not they have the educational requirements to back it up. Now, mind you, with some positions, that's possible. When you have an advocate position, when the center has an advocacy department, they often take the educational requirements away if you have experience behind you. However, how do you gain that experience if they then won't allow for life experience. Now, mind you, I am a 32-year-old disabled woman. I have experiences of disability up the wazoo. I mean, multiple kinds of ableism, experience with ableism, and multiple kinds of erasure of my disability. And physical barriers like you wouldn't believe. But yet, if I were to leave my position and apply for another position, I'm not guaranteed, even if it's comparable, that I would get a job just because I'm moving to a different city or a different center within the same city. There's no guarantee that I'm going to get a job, even though I've got even more experience because of the position I'm currently in. And because I have a little bit of educational background behind me, I chose a different path. I chose an alternate path because I was finding that I was hitting my head up against a wall, trying to do the same darn thing over and over and over and over again. It wasn't working. So I chose not to go back to a traditional college. I chose to get a certificate in web design and motion graphics, and I chose to get a certificate in pet grooming, because I knew that those were things that I would be good at. I knew that those were things that I enjoyed in leisure and that I liked doing just because. And I think that's why we have so few people in this movement actually working at centers for independent living, or related organizations, because of the educational requirements. People are seeing that and they're getting intimidated because nowhere on any of these applications do you ever, well, okay, I won't say ever, do you almost never see that it says will take experience if you don't have the education. And the real struggle of it all is, depending on where you work, even if you wanted to get that education later, there are many places that will send you to college, give you a stipend of however much, or you pay ahead and then they reimburse you for such and such amount. There are organizations that will do that because they want you to further your education. They want you to be able to qualify for these other positions. And unfortunately, there are other organizations that won't do that. They just kind of treat it like a job, and I can't treat this like a job. I can't treat independent living like a job because I come home and it's my life still. I am still in a wheelchair at the end of the day. I still have A, B, and C assisted daily living tasks that I need help with. I still need access to mobility equipment and ramps and whatever it is, that alteration that makes my apartment more accessible to me. So I can't treat this like a job. And I'm not saying that I will go in and be unprofessional and, do whatever I want to do. I am saying that I will go in there to do whatever I need to do to get the job done. But I cannot leave my work at home or my work at work. It comes home with me. And honestly, I work every single day. I work every single day, whether it's looking for a new project to work on, whether it's It's doing accessibility reviews in my environment. Just everything I am surrounded by and everything I encounter has to do with independent living. And I don't think people understand that, particularly when organizations hire non-disabled people um, into this movement, or they do hire a disabled person, but it's been a person who's been sheltered from this life most of their lives, and they come in and they have this understanding that disability is a dirty word. And so instead of vetting the people that they're hiring and explaining to them that this is not just a job, we still need people who are passionate about independent living and who are passionate enough that are going to go to the Capitol or go to Washington and lobby and advocate for whatever program is in jeopardy, because there's always a program or a system that's in jeopardy. There always is. Particularly now that we have the environment that we have and a government that doesn't understand our needs. My frustration is that the opportunities are not being given to your regular Joe disabled person. We have to do better and be better in every field of our life already. When we finally find a place that is accepting of our disability without shame, we have to be slapped in the face with the fact that we're not good enough because we don't have the education that, frankly, the people who started this movement probably didn't have either. So are we saying that the people that we tout as the mothers and fathers and siblings of our movement, of our history, are we saying that they're not good enough either because they didn't have a college degree either? I think we really need to take a long look at ourselves and what we're doing in our businesses and strive to be better. Because, frankly, just imagine you do get that person with a master's degree to come in and work at your facility, work at your organization. Does that make them better than someone who is experienced and been in the trenches of all of this? Or is there a possibility that them, with all their fancy book learning, is going to come in and completely screw it up because they don't understand the heart behind it? These are the decisions that have to be made, and these are the conversations that have to be had. And I hope that we have this soon, because I'm finding that too many qualified people are being counted out because they don't have an associate's degree even. And I realize you're going to say, but Erica, we didn't even talk about cost. You're right, we didn't. There is a cost factor here, and that is a big factor when people determine whether or not they're going to go back to school or go to school at all. We can't all qualify for grants. We can't all get student aid. Some of us have tried and failed and failed and failed over and over and over again because of the nature of our disabilities. And the state won't, or the government won't give us any more FAFSA. The government won't give us any more aid. And then what do? We have to pay out of pockets. And then if we can't, we have to just suck it up and suffer the consequences. When these humans really could have made a difference in our movement if they were only given a chance. I hope that you really think about what I'm saying. I hope that you really take a look at your independent living centers in your area, and look at their job postings. I really hope that you see what I'm talking about going forward, because this is a real problem. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I love talking about disability issues. I love talking about my experiences. And honestly, ableism is a topic that gets me all fired up. So like and subscribe, share it with all your friends. And if you want to hear about a subject, please leave a comment down below. I would love to talk about it. See you next time.